Hello, this is Ashee from Crafting with Ashee and welcome to this video. Thank you for joining me today. This is the card I have to share with you. It's this embossed Christmas tree card, and basically everything on this card is embossed. Isn't it lovely? I love the contrast between the dark green and the real red of the background. And we can see here we've just cut out our tree using the Merriest Trees dies, and then we've embossed with our white embossing foam powder. So let me show you how I made this. So we have our piece here of shaded spruce, which I have cut out using the Merriest Trees dies, and I've used the largest size of tree here, and you can see it matches the stamp set, the Merriest Trees, and the centerpiece actually coordinates beautifully. It fits perfectly. So we're just going to use our powder tool here, so our embossing powder sticks only where we want it, and then we're going to ink up using Versamark embossing ink. It's a lovely sticky ink that we can use here to emboss our images. So let's push that down and hold it and up, and there we go. You can see it very gently here, it's embossed. And we're going to emboss with white embossing powder. So I've got my little coffee filter here, and then I've got my white powder, and we're just going to sprinkle it all over our tree. Tap off any excess. Isn't that magic? I always think embossing is magic. There we go, and I love the contrast of the bright white against the shaded spruce background. Just going to use a small little paintbrush to get rid of any stray specks that I don't want. I'm going to add a little bit more embossing powder where I think it needs it, and when I'm happy, tap off any excess. There we go. I must have thought there's a few bits around. There we go. So set that aside because we've got more embossing to do. So I'm going to try and get all of my pieces ready to heat, and then we can heat them all in one fell swoop. So now I'm going to bring in my simple chamois and just give this a clean up, because we're going to need to be able to remove it from the stamp apparatus. So let's do that. Lovely. Taking out our base mat, because the next piece we're going to be using is red rubber as opposed to photopolymer. And we've got a piece here of real red cardstock, and this measures 14.35 centimeters by 10 centimeters. I'm going to just line that up in the stamp apparatus, and then I've got here the stamp set called It's in the Stars, and this is a lovely big background stamp set. And I'm just going to put that down and then actually put my real red on top, so I roughly know where it's going to go. Hold it in position as best as I can, and then leave it. And again, I'm going to try and put my magnet in. It's not easy when you've got a full card that you're doing, a full card front that you're embossing or stamping. So just use my powder tool again all over the background, and you can always buff off any excess powder when you're finished. So now we're going to use our Versamark again here, and we're going to give it a really good ink up because it's a big stamp. So it's a big area, so we don't want to miss any parts. So it's another reason I do it here in the stamp apparatus, is that I can always re-stamp if I need to. So let's give that a really good ink up. And I know the stamp apparatus is retired, but I love it, and I'm still going to continue to use it because I have it and I want to use what I've got rather than just letting it gather dust in the cupboard. So here again I'm going to do the second inking up with the Versamark so that I don't have, make sure I've caught everything. I don't want to sort of put my powder on and then see that there's a great chunk that's been missed when I stamp. And it's not always easy to see when you stamp with Versamark where you've stamped. It only becomes apparent when you've put on your embossing powder. So there we go. So now we're going to bring in our white embossing powder again and our coffee filter. Here they are. and we're going to emboss easily with this. Pour the powder all over it, as you can see. And just gently let it slip down to the other side. Try not to get powder everywhere. I have to say I'm not always successful. I do have a tiny little desktop hoover vacuum that I have, and very useful in hoovering up any stray pieces of embossing powder. As you can see, however hard I try, I do end up getting it everywhere. Most of it goes back in the tub, I will admit, but there's still bits of it here and there, which is I find annoying, so tabletop vacuum cleans it up a treat, I should say. Okay, so let's give our background stamp a little clean up. Clean my hand as well, where I've got powder on it, why not? Give it a good ink up, clean up after having the Versamark on it. Pull that off. And now we're going to be stamping our sentiment. So we're going to put our mat back inside it. Yep, now I've realised. And we've got a scrap piece of basic white cardstock. And our sentiment is from the same stamp set. And I'm just going to get it out here. Pick it up with my lid. Use my powder tool. And then we're going to emboss here with gold embossing powder. So I'm making a good chance that there's nothing anywhere at all. And then ink it up with the Versamark. So you can see every single thing here on this card has been heat embossed, so everything looks very similar, has the same feel, so it increases the continuity, nothing jars to the eye. Then I'm using the little ornament die, or stamp rather, and I'm just going to stamp on the background since I can't really see where I'm stamping so easily. I'm going to just stamp with lots of room in between. And there we go, and I'm stamping quite a few of the ornaments, and we're going to die cut them all out with the matching dies in a minute, you'll see. But let's take that out of the Stamparatus, back with the coffee filter. This time we're using the gold embossing powder, and so let's sprinkle that all over. And you can see now we're trying to bring it down the sheet, and yeah, as usual with me, things do go all over the place. It doesn't always stay where I want it to stay, unfortunately. Such is the existence, such as life. Tap off the excess, and now we're going to heat emboss everything. So here we go, everything is going to get beautifully heat embossed. As you can see, it's magic how it turns from one dull to shiny. So now I have my sentiment. I cut out a quarter strip of my sentiment and I die cut all my little ornaments, as you can see there in the top right corner. So my card base is thick basic white, so that's an A4 sheet cut in half and then folded in half. And then I'm going to stick down my base piece of real red that we did heat emboss off camera to my base here, just like that. And then I'm going to use my punch, and the punch is going to be the Banner's Picker punch in a second, and I'm going to use it to pen it to the end of my sentiment. Now I should say something happened here and I lost the end of the coverage of this video. I don't know why, but from now on it's just basically assembly, and you can see here I'm just putting dimensionals on the back of my Christmas tree, lots of them, so we get a nice even dimension and nothing's going to fall or squish in the middle. Okay. And a little baby one for the top. And then we're just going to take the backings off here. I hate taking backings off dimensionals. I don't know about you. It always drives me crazy, but I love the look of dimensions, so it's one of those necessary things to do. Doesn't really take long. It's just tedious, I think. And last but not least, now I'm going to stick this down on our base. I love the contrast of the red and the green and the white. It all just works together so beautifully. So get rid of the backings of our dimensionals. And now, as I said, we're going to pen at the end of our strip of sentiment strip. So we have a little pen at the end here, and this is where I lost my coverage, so I'm really sorry about that. All I'm going to do now is stick down my sentiment, as you can see, stick down the ornaments, and then I've got a little image of a star that I did die cut out of some glimmer paper, and I put that at the top. So I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, I'd be grateful if you could give it a thumbs up, and until next time, enjoy being creative. Bye bye.